story, Jack and the Hungry Giant. And we're going to look at the plot. We're going to talk about what happens in the story. When we retell a story, we tell the characters, the setting, and the main events. Do you remember yesterday when we went over that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes. We talked about who the characters were in the story. You can remember who the characters were.
Jack.
Jack, okay.
The giant.
The giant.
And her mom.
The mom was at the beginning of the story.
The cat.
The cat. Yeah, there was a cat in the story. Yes.
The cow.
The what?
The cow.
Was it a cow?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. You traded your cow.
Well, yeah, he traded the cow. Did we see that part though?
No.
No, we really didn't see that part, but we know that part, yes. Okay, and then setting. We talked about yesterday about the setting. Was the setting the same in the entire story? Did it take place in the same place?
No.
No, at the beginning it was a little bit different than in the middle and the end, right? Okay. And the main events, we're going to talk about what happens at the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. So we're going to draw right what happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end. That's what it's telling us to do on here. So who can tell me what happened at the very beginning of the story? If I open my book here, and we look back at this page, who can tell me what happens at the very beginning of the story? He what?
He does feel a lot of
Okay, well remember he got in trouble, right? And when he woke up the next morning, what had happened? The beanstalk was growing from those beans that he got, right? So at the very beginning of the story, Mom had said, why did you trade those beans for that cow for these beans? And she threw them, and she sent him to bed early. He went to bed, woke up in the morning, and the setting is changing. Because it went from his house, now he's going up the beanstalk. So in the beginning of the story, we can draw a picture of maybe Jack climbing up the beanstalk. That kind of happened at the beginning. Or maybe you can draw some beans. We could just draw pictures for this one today. Make it a little easier. You can draw some of those beans that went into the ground that happened at the beginning. And then you can draw the beanstalk that grew all the way up.
And then at the end, I'm just in the color.
Okay, so that's at the very beginning of the story. When he climbed up that beanstalk, he got somewhere. Where did he get to? Where did he end up? Avery.
And the giant home.
In the giant's home, right? Now, when we look at these pages here, when we first saw the giant picked up the boot and stared at Jack and said, I'm hungry. Do you think he was going to eat Jack in this part?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of almost seemed like he was. But what ended up happening?
He was gonna make something different.
He was going to make something different. The giant grabbed him and said, be careful, my tiny friend. Are you hungry too? Let's have a healthy meal. I'm Wardolph. What's your name? Jack? Tell me, Jack, what are your favorite vegetables? So, and then he showed him his vegetables. What are these? Fruits, grains, proteins that you need to eat, and dairy, right? So in the middle of the story, what did the giant do? What can we draw next? What's the important part that happened in the middle of the story? Ethan.
He went in.
Well, he
saw a
went.
giant house.
Well, he went into the giant's house, but then the giant came to show him all the healthy meals, right? So the giant invited him for a healthy meal, but he was showing him all the healthy things he could eat. So in the middle of the story, you can maybe make some plates of some healthy vegetables with the maybe giant and Jack there. There's our plates. You can put some healthy vegetables and fruits on those plates, showing them all the different ways. You can eat healthy. Just putting a little, I'm just, making it a little bit. You can do it however you want. You can draw the giant. You can draw Jack too. So here's the big giant with the plate showing him.
If we don't have room, then.
That's okay, yeah, just if you want to. And here's little Jack. I'm just doing it quickly. You can do it however you'd like to. Just showing them all the things there that they can eat.
What's another?
Okay? How's it going? Good? There was another character in the story that came too. Who was the other character? The wife of the giants, right? The mom was at the very beginning, right? So then, at the end of the story, the wife, her name was Sophia. So, let's look here. At the end of the story, Sophia came home just in time to eat. Hello there. Hello, darling. Grab a plate. So it's healthy to fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables. Jack. Right, the other half, grains and proteins. Help yourself to a serving of dairy. That sounds good to me, Sophia. And he got to sit down and eat a healthy meal with the giants. And then he got to climb down. He said, thanks again for the great grub. See you soon. So at the very end of the story, Jack ate with the giants and then he went home, right? So at the very end, he ate the meal. So we got to sit down now and eat the meal with the giants. There's the little guy. He's eating. Here's the big giant, the two giants here. Sophia and giant here. The giants did not eat Jack in this story. Have you read Jack and the Beanstalk before where the giant wanted to eat Jack? Yeah. Yep, this one is different, right? Jack and the hungry giant.
I like Jack and the Beanstalk, but I didn't put Jack and the Giant.
Yep, this is a little bit differently, right? A little bit different than the ones we've heard in the past.
And then Justin there.
Do you remember what type of story this is, too?
A healthy one?
It is. It talks about healthy things. But it's called a fairy tale.
Yeah,
Okay?
I know
A fairy tale. So a fairy tale is a type of folk tale with magical characters, places, or events.
that.
We learned about that on Monday.
Events?
Events, yes. Things that happen in the story. All right, I'm going to come around and check your books.